So on this channel, I talk about my investing. I talk about how much I'm investing every single month, where I'm putting my money every single month, usually the investing side of things. But I don't actually talk about how I do this. How do I actually invest £1,000 every single month? How do I invest more than a third of my income every single month? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the method that I use to do that, sort of the budgeting method that I use, how I track my expenses, how I get to that monthly figure of £1,000. Let's do it. Let's get into the video. So this is the spreadsheet that I use to track my expenses every single month. I pretty much enter all of my expenses on a monthly basis. So I've been doing this since September 2021, and I track it on multiple criteria across this top bar here. So I've got rent, all my subscriptions, TV, phone, investment fees, fuel, food, eating out, clothes, gaming, tech, home, some other random stuff here. I've got like going out, car, studying fees, my gym membership, and another column. And then I put my expenses in every single month, usually on the last day of the month. So what I'll do every single month, I'll get paid usually on the last working day of the month or the last Friday of the month, whichever day it is. And on that weekend or on the day I get paid, I'll go through my expenses. So I go through my bank accounts and input all of my expenses onto this spreadsheet. I pay out my rent. That's probably the first thing that I do on that first day that I get paid. The money just goes straight out. I don't have a standing order set up. I just pay the rent manually because I like to know that I've paid it, and two, I kind of like to see the money go out of my account. And then the second thing I do is pay out that £1,000 from my account into my investing account. Now I do this simply because I want to invest that amount of money every single month, and it forces me to have to work with what's left to be able to survive the month, basically. So let me just break it down real quick. I get paid £2,800. Rent comes out at £850, and then I transfer £1,000 out to my investing account. So that leaves me with £950 to play with at the start of the month. Now let's take a look at what I actually use to tell me how much money I have to spend and what that compares to like the standard budgeting methods like the 50-30-20 rule. So over here to the left, I actually have a budgeting for future spend, and then I also have an expenses split. Two blocks that I use to sort of look at what my expenses are in the past, what I can use as a baseline for the next month. So what I have here on the left is I have budgeting future spend. So I have a fixed cost total. I have my monthly salary. I have my rent. What I have is my available expenses, which is my monthly salary minus my rent. And then I have an after fixed cost cell, which is basically my available expenses minus my fixed cost total. And then I have my investing amount of £1,000, and then my monthly budget of £720, which is a rounded fixed costs minus investing. So what it's doing is it's taking my fixed costs, minusing my investing off, and then applying a formula to give it a round number to the nearest £10 effectively. So what this is telling me is my monthly budget is £720. So this could change every month based on what my fixed costs are. So if we have a look at my fixed costs, let me just zoom out a little bit. My fixed costs here look at these columns. So what it's doing is it's taking the sum of these fixed fees over here, which is my subscriptions, so money that comes out of my account that every single month, like direct debits. So it's my subscriptions to Netflix, Spotify, YouTube Premium, my TV fees, my phone bill, and then it takes also my gym membership, that comes out of it as well. And then it also takes an average of my last 3 months of travel expenses. My travel expenses I can't really fight against. Some months I spend more than others based on where I'm traveling to, whether I'm traveling more for work or I'm going to the gym more or I'm seeing friends. But some months I spend more and some months I spend less. So I usually take the average. I take the average of the last 3 months, which gives a more rounded number of what I will be likely to spend going forward on a monthly basis. So with all of those combined, I call that my fixed costs. Obviously, I could include rent in that, but I didn't actually start paying rent until August because I moved out of my parents' house. I was living with my parents for a few years and then decided to go rent in London. Got a higher salary, but that high salary went into rent anyway. So yeah, my fixed costs are the costs that come out of my bank account that I can't control unless I cancel them. So effectively, they're things that I've chosen to come out of my account, but I don't physically pay for them every single month. They will come out of my account. Obviously, travel expenses, I do pay for them, but I can't control that I need to travel. Like it's a necessity. I could include food in this. I could include my last 3 months of food bills, but I feel like with food, I can definitely control how much I spend. I can definitely spend more or spend less, basically buy a better quality food or buy less food, stop buying as much junk food, stuff like that. This isn't advice for you. It's just the way that I control my spending. So effectively, when we get down to the bottom here on the left, I have my fixed costs, salary, rent, expenses after my rent has come out, because rent is obviously probably the most important thing. And then I take my investing amount out, which it is used to be £600 and now it's £1,000. And then that gives me my monthly budget. So my monthly budget does include food spend, simply because I know that I can affect my food spend. I can probably reduce my food spend. But £720 to cover things like going out to eat, going out for drinks, spending on miscellaneous items like if I want to buy a new pair of trainers, or I want to buy a new pair of headphones, or some gym clothes, or I want to go out for a nice meal, that goes into my monthly budget as well as my regular monthly food spend. This is how I calculate my monthly budget. Now, obviously, it's based on past. So if anything changes in the future, like I get a pay rise, then that will go into it. Or if I know that going forward, I want to reduce my spending and I want to save a little bit more of money, so I want to put £1,200 into my investing every single month, that then brings my monthly budget down to £520. So that's how this system works. So then that brings me to my expenses split. So I also like to look at where my expenses are split versus a 50-30-20 split, which is sort of the go-to budgeting thing that you see online. You'll probably type in budgeting methods into your search bar and you see 50-30-20, but I don't really use that. I use more of a practical sense of, these are the things that I need to pay for, or these are the things I want to do with my life. Like I need to pay for rent and I want to invest £1,000 a month. What is left? So I like to look at the expenses split for what I'm spending. So the way that it's split in a 50-30-20 split is 50% of your spending goes into needs, 30% of your spending goes into wants, and 20% of your spending goes into goals. So if we have a look at what my split is, this month I spent £1,245 on needs, I spent £853 on wants, and that leaves me with £700 in goals. Now, obviously, I've put £1,000 into investing, so I've overspent by £300. I'm going to correct that in January. But if we compare that to the 50-30-20 split, I've spent 45% on needs, I've spent 30% on wants, which is pretty much in line with what it should be, and 25% on goals. Realistically, what it should be is £1,000 into goals, so I'm just going to enter that now. And then I'd probably want to spend that £300 split less over needs and wants. So if we say £700 here, and then we say £1,100 here. So that brings me back to my spending, and it comes out to around 40% needs, 25% wants, and 35% goals. So I've rejigged what it should be for myself, because that's pretty much where it should be. But as you can see, my goals are 35% of my income. And how this works, if I just zoom out real quick, how this portion works is I've summed this based on what my spending is. So you can see that my needs here include my rent, my phone bill. I need a phone, like that's formed part of my needs. It also includes my investment fees, although they're zero now. Fuel, which is zero now because I sold my car recently when I moved to London. This includes food, obviously, like regular food spend, like what you're spending for home. This doesn't include eating out, which I have a separate column for. And then my needs also include travel. And then it also includes car spend, which at the moment is zero. So that includes all of my needs. And then if I go into wants, this includes all of my subscription spending. And then I have eating out, clothes, gaming, then tech, home. So anything that I need to spend on the home. Gifts. This was Christmas, so I spent a bit on gifts. I then take my goals as basically what my monthly salary is minus my total expenses for the month. So my needs and wants make up my entire spending along this line here. And then my goals are monthly salary minus my total expenses for the month. And then that allows me to track, am I spending too much? Am I being silly with my spending? What is it on this list that is high? Now, how I do this is I literally go through every single line on my bank statements. I'm just going through, I'm scrolling through, typing in the numbers from my bank statement onto this. Anyway, you can use this method of tracking your expenses by building your own spreadsheet. You can, build a spreadsheet on Google Sheets, which is free, or you can, if you have Excel, you can do it on Excel, which should help. Like, you can track your expenses every single month, write it all down so you can see exactly what you're spending your money on. And then I also track how much my bank accounts are saying every single month. And you can see over the last few years, it's skyrocketed simply because I've been tracking my expenses every single month. You can also get this spreadsheet by signing up to my newsletter in the link in the description. Now, this is free. You don't have to do anything other than giving me your email, and then you get a free download of this spreadsheet, and you can use it. You get a blank version of this, and you get to use this spreadsheet to track your expenses. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Any suggestions on improvements to the video content or ideas for content going forward, then please leave me a comment below, and I will give you a reply. Thank you.